we recording?
We're recording. And I don't know, should I say up front that the episode that we're about to do, we're going to be kind of jumping around through time and space.
What?
So we're going to go ahead and record, like, the intro.
Uh-huh.
And then you and I are going to go out into the field.
Oh, into space? Because you said jumping around time and space, like in a spaceship?
Not outer space, just three-dimensional space. Physical space. Thank you. Meat space.
Yeah.
That is the sex version of MySpace that's always on like the side crawls of porns.
Yeah, meat space. Hot.
And this is not Meat Space. This is Kayla.
Oh, and Chris.
And this is Cult.
Or just meat space.
Oh, God.
Just weird, sorry.
Please don't say that ever again. Yeah, so this is my episode. We're going to talk a little bit, go out into the field, then come back and finish the talk. So should I just jump in? Do you have any business?
I'm just... No, go ahead, because okay. I don't know what you're talking about.
I can just start reading my script.
Please.
In 1969... Jim Baker, then known as Father Yod, opened the Source restaurant on LA's Sunset Strip. The Source served organic, vegetarian food and attracted enough celebrity clients to open 2 more locations and even make an appearance in the movie Annie Hall. At its peak, the restaurant took in $10,000 a day, allowing Father Yod to support a commune of young people living together in a mansion in the Hollywood Hills, calling themselves the Source family. They were secretive about their beliefs, but generally adopted healthy living lifestyles, natural health, organic vegetarian diets, communal living, and just had these general utopian ideals. They wore white robes, had weird marriage arrangements, and are considered a cult by enough of mainstream society that they were parodied in an episode of Documentary Now, poking fun at the documentary Wild Wild Country.
Well, wait, this wasn't... Sorry, so they're not part of the Rajneeshpuram.
No, but do you remember, spoiler alert for Documentary Now, but do you remember when they were talking about the Owen Wilson character and his background?
Yeah.
That was a parody of Father Yod and the Source family.
his background was like a Jamba Juice, whatever, healthy, got it, okay.
But we're not talking about them today.
Oh, well, but we just did.
We did. But the podcast isn't about them.
Okay.
In 1973, a group calling itself the Light Brigade opened a restaurant called the Yellow Deli in Chattanooga. Like the Source restaurant, the Yellow Deli adopted a very flower child, hippy-dippy aesthetic. And while they don't focus on vegetarian and organic food, they definitely made it clear that they were here to serve a hip alternative crowd wanting to order sandwiches named after Beatles songs. Okay. The Light Brigade eventually evolved into the Christian group known as the 12 Tribes, eventually opening over 15 restaurants across the world.
Wait.
Let me keep going.
Okay.
Because of their fundamentalist, segregationist, homophobic, misogynistic, and child abusive beliefs, the
restaurant had these beliefs?
The 12 Tribes is widely regarded by mainstream society as a cult. But we're not talking about them today either.
Why not? Can we though? Can we put them on the list? You're teasing me. This is cult tease. I have blue cult balls.
Sorry. The reason why we're not talking about these 2 groups is because, by and large, they're known cults. Source Restaurant is no longer operational, and that cult generally disbanded after the death of Father Yod. I want to say he was like hang gliding in Hawaii, but I could be making that up.
Oh, God. Well, that's a good way to go.
They moved to Hawaii eventually. And the 12 Tribes generates a lot of press with their general cultishness, like the child, like they have children, like they've violated child labor laws, like they're kind of abusive. God. They're like very... men are better than women. They're very like, we should have segregation because multiculturalism leads to problems. Like they're very, very scary.
Yeah. So I was wondering that actually when you said that, I was like, or when you were describing them, I'm like, should we be doing these guys?
Exactly.
They're cults for sure.
So instead today, I want to talk about a group that's probably less known than the Source family, probably less known than the Yellow Deli. At least it's less known to me, and there are far fewer movie appearances and articles than the other 2.
Okay.
And hopefully...
Until now. And they hit the podcast circuit with us.
Hopefully, by the end of this, we can figure out why the fuck there are multiple restaurants out there in the world owned and operated by cult or cult-adjacent groups, because that's really weird to me.
Yeah, the fact that we're like on our 3rd one, and you've been talking for 5 minutes is really creepy.
Today, I want to talk about a restaurant called Loving Hut. Have you ever heard of Loving Hut?
No, I can't believe we're talking about a restaurant on this show.
Oh, yeah. Called Loving Hut.
Okay.
And you've never heard of Loving Hut?
No.
Okay. Then I'll talk about Loving Hut. And then you and I are going to go have lunch at Loving Hut.
Yes.
And we'll record a little bit of it for our listeners. We'll try not to bore you too much. We'll try not to have a lot of like mouth sounds of chewing. But just know.
Well, I mean, again, we're part ASMR in this show for when we do the criteria and we crinkle the paper.
That's
so
true.
I don't know.
So we'll have it as an option.
Yeah, we'll do. Well, we should like supplemental content like us chewing our food.
Yeah. Oh, there's this like new trend I'm seeing on the social medias of people taking like iconic scenes from like social media or like other like YouTube videos and stuff and like redubbing all of the audio into whispers. So it'll be like fights of like Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but they'll be whispering at each other like this to make it into like ASMR. It's so funny.
That sounds fucking amazing. But
it's not a cult or just weird. It's cool. Loving Hut is one of those two things. We're going to figure it out.
Okay. You're not going to like accidentally join a cult again, are you?
I probably will.
Okay.
Let me just describe the restaurant for you, and then we can go from there. Loving Hut is a vegan restaurant chain founded by a Vietnamese businesswoman named Ching Hai. There are over 140 locations across Asia, Europe, North and South America, Africa, and Australia.
What?
In the U.S., Loving Hut has restaurants in 15 states. Each location creates its own unique menu of vegan cuisine and ranges from fast food style to full-service style restaurants.
So we're going because it's vegan. That's the real impetus here. Yeah,
vegan is definitely a cult. From the Loving Hut website, quote, Loving Hut was created with a vision that all beings could live in peace, love, and harmony with each other and the planet. Loving Hut chain restaurants are newly opening around the world. It is an invitation to gourmet cuisine made with wholesome vegan ingredients, offering an accessible starting point for those making the noble transition to a plant-based diet.
Are you trying to convert me?
Yes, absolutely. I'm not a vegan.
Well, okay, fair.
Loving Hut is currently the fastest growing international vegan fast food chain in the world, with branches in Milpitas, according to their website, Milpitas, Palo Alto, and San Francisco. Internationally, branches are currently open in Formosa, Taiwan, Ao Loc, Vietnam, Singapore, Indonesia, Tokyo, and Hong Kong. More branches will be opening in various locations around the world in the coming months. Now, that still sounds relatively normal, right? Like, no more weird or cultish than any other vegan restaurant in, like, Santa Monica or Portland or Austin or whatever.
Right. I was going to say, there's plenty of those around here.
So, okay, let's get into it, and then we'll go to the restaurant. I had no idea Loving Hut would ever be something we would cover on this podcast until I received a text from our wonderful friend Paul that was just a link to the Google search, is Loving Hut a cult? I immediately responded in all caps, if Loving Hut is a cult, I will kill myself.
Okay, so there's some incentive here.
Oh yeah. Dear listeners, as you'll remember from our Irvine episode, I grew up in Orange County, and Loving Hut operates not one, not two, but 3 restaurants in the Orange County area. Surprisingly, none of which are in Irvine. And for quite a while, it was...
It's like turf, it's like cult turf. You can't,
For a little while, it was kind of like one of the only vegan restaurants you could get to. Like, I've been there, my sister's been there. I'm sure probably nearly every vegetarian in the OC area has been to Loving Hut at one point or another. And apparently, it might be a cult. Not wanting to believe it, I started doing some digging, and unfortunately, if you Google... Is Loving Hut a cult? The first thing you get back is a link to a Vice article titled, Visiting the Vegan Restaurant Chain Owned by a Cult. Now,
well, that pretty much wraps it up then, I guess.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Vice may be ready to call Loving Hut a cult, but we still need to go through all the information and decide for ourselves, right?
Right, of course. But just to be clear, I trust Vice implicitly.
Yeah.
I would trust them with my baby.
I'll be honest, I don't have high hopes for this one. I'm going to go ahead and read for you the rest of Loving Hut's About section on their website, and I would like you to stop me when I hit a cult red flag for you. Stop me when it starts to sound culty.
Other than the Vice article?
Yes. Okay. Like when the actual words on their website.
Okay.
Our vision. Loving Hut is a beacon of light for an alternative way of living to achieve world peace.
Already.
Really?
Yeah, beacon of light for alternative lifestyle.
It just sounds like hippies, vegans.
Fine, yellow flag.
Yeah. While striving to make our vision a reality, we continually focus on improving our core values. Our core values. Healthy. Serve 100% delicious plant-based meals using only natural and healthy ingredients. Compassion. Honor all lives to live in peace and harmony together. Green, respect and protect Mother Earth through sustainable practices, including by being vegan. Service, treat each customer as a VIP, a friend, and a partner. Happiness, provide joyful experiences for customers, employees, friends, and families. Loyalty, make Loving Hut a destination choice for all. And then it moves on into a FAQ, a frequently asked questions section.
Yeah, the core values are, I mean,
pretty innocuous,
that's
right?
okay.
That's like a nice company.
Blizzard had core values, and the ones that you just told me weren't that weird. I mean, hippie, but not weird.
Just wait.
Okay.
Why are the menus different at every Loving Hut? Answer. Each city is unique, and thus we believe in giving our Loving Hut chefs the freedom to create great local dishes and entrees. We want to bring out the best of all cultures and show that vegan dishes are not only healthy, but great tasting too. Sounds nice. Question. What are the hours? Why? Wait. Oh yeah, there's a lot of typos here. So the question was, what are the hours different at each Loving Hut? Obviously they mean why. Each Loving Hut has a unique situations and customer traffic times, so they have the freedom to make hours that works best for them and their community. Why are there Loving Huts that is fast food or full service dining? There are locations that serve fast food, casual counter service, or full service dining. We give the freedom to the operators to choose the best service that fits their team, environment, restaurant, and community.
This all sounds pretty good so far.
Sounds great, right?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't sound culty. It's like, yeah, do whatever you want.
Yeah, no, it sounds like that's how I would want to run a company. Like, hey, you know, like, do the thing that works best for you and your team and your community. Like, you know, I trust you to blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
How is your food so affordable? The vegan diet is great for environment, health, and shows compassion for all lives. Unfortunately, healthy choices by itself is not good enough. We recognize that the food must also be affordable for it to be everyone's food choice.
Okay. That's good too.
Doesn't really answer the how. Just kind of is a why. Doesn't really say how the food is affordable.
Okay.
Here's the next one. How is Supreme Master Ching Hai involved?
Can I put the red flag up now?
Yeah. Supreme Master Ching Hai is the innovator for Loving Hut vegan concept. She wants to help the world with a more compassionate and noble way of living by providing easy access to great vegan food all over the world. So the next thing I wrote was, so if you haven't stopped me by now, what the fuck is wrong with you? If you have stopped me by now, what the fuck?
So my first question is, when we intro the show from now on, can I intro it as Supreme Master Chris?
Please do.
Okay, good. Second question, is very similar to your question, i.e., what the fuck?
Yeah. So we're going to go to the restaurant now, but when we come back, we're going to learn all about Supreme Master Ching Hai.
Is it safe to eat there?
It's
Am I gonna eat
enough.
like some mind control spores or anything?
You're fine.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
You ready?
No.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
We are about to sit down now, and we don't know what to expect, and we are open-minded, and we will see how it goes. It's really nice to be able to order literally anything off the menu.
Right.
Oh, man.
You as a vegetarian.
Yeah.
This dish looks exactly like duck.
Do you want to get it?
I was thinking maybe like
wontons.
Yeah, definitely wontons. Definitely crispy rolls. And maybe a salad.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good.
I'll get the fabulous Mongolian because it looks like it's just a pile of meat, but there's obviously no
Hell yeah. Do you want jackfruit salad or golden salad?
jackfruit.
Is it okay if I take a picture of you?
Sure. I may veto, but
Are you gonna smile?
Could you describe to me what you're seeing?
I don't know.
None of this is going to track, by the way.
No, yeah. I kind of feel
At peace.
discomfort at the thought of describing our surroundings. But the what's currently playing on television, we'll talk about.
Okay.
I can fill you in.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, so these are the wontons.
They look pretty good.
It
You
might be
know what
hot.
this is going to be? Oh, geez, that is hot as hell.
Yeah.
Dipping the wonton in Sweet and sour sauce. I'm eating wanton. Hot wonton. Hot wonton. So this is the jackfruit salad, right?
Jackfruit salad.
And that must be the Mongolian
This
thing.
is your Mongolian delight. Yeah, we got too much food.
We got too much food for sure.
Crispy chowpan.
Yeah. Wise decision.
I know. It's like soy beef. I think you got soy beef too.
Yeah, I was
Really good.
in the act of eating. It's very ritualistic. It's a ritual in which we all participate.
Someone's watching television.
That fake beef is good.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. They know what they're doing.
Damn. I feel like if we want to be fair and balanced, we should also like take a trip to like a factory farm or something.
I can't.
I'll do it.
What was your favorite thing?
Definitely the Mongolian beef.
Mongolian beef. Can we get a cheesecake to take home?
Absolutely.
I just want to say that I'm coming back.
I mean, of the places where we would go to a vegan place,
I'm coming back.
it's definitely this one so far.
It's delicious. Like, I might eat this in the car on the way home. It's so good.
Yeah, I might just smear it all over my body.
Yeah, just bathe in it. And pretty darn good price.
Pretty cheap, yeah.
$55.17 for two appetizers.
Two appetizers,
a salad that we
two
shared, and
entrees.
two entrees, and a piece of cheesecake.
All right.
Let's do this.
Let's get out of here.
Where are the keys? You have the keys?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. All right, wait, hold on.
Pull around somewhere.
Wait. I want to take a picture of something. Oh, you did get a card? Where'd you get this from?
Right up at the counter. I asked for a card, and they were like, "Oh, here you go. Here's the menu." And I'm like, "But I'm also
So they
gonna take this."
didn't try to promote it.
Yeah.
So the card that Christopher received.
Oh, are we recording already?
We're still recording.
Oh, we're just still recording from before.
Is for the television station, which is called Supreme Master Television. And it's very interesting to me that you specifically asked for a card.
Well, so what?
And they didn't try to push this one. They didn't even like hand it to you, right? There's a car behind you.
So I always either get this is like a, I don't know, weird habit collection thingy that I do. Got it from a friend of mine in college. But I always ask for a business card or a Matchbox or something just to like put in my collection of restaurants I've been to. So that's what I asked for this time. And yeah, and they gave me a menu, but there were these SupremeMaster.com TV business cards that were sitting right there, and they didn't offer it to me.
Interesting.
I took one nonetheless. So here we are.
So let's just do a quick debrief of what we just experienced.
Delicious non-meat.
Absolutely delicious. We pulled up. It was the Loving Hut that we went to. The Loving Hut that we went to is kind of in like a strip mall.
Yeah.
On like a major street in the city of Orange. And we were immediately seated. There were definitely there were other people in there.
Not many though.
Not many, but
it was small.
We're also we're eating at like 4 o'clock. We walked in at like 4 o'clock.
Oh, I suppose you're right.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
So the fact that there
we're
were
like my grandparents.
The fact that there were like people coming in and out at 4 o'clock, like that.
Yeah.
You know, minimal decoration. There was, they had images of the food that they served. They had like their big Loving Hut logo on one wall, but on each
We'll put that on Instagram too.
On each wall there were photos of famous people that are vegan. I mean, I don't remember what they were. There was like Alicia Silverstone, Ellen DeGeneres, Portia de Rossi, Gandhi, Lao Tzu,
Princess Di.
Princess Diana, Moby, some athletes that I don't remember their names, Pythagoras, just all. I think maybe Shania Twain was there. All different kinds of vegan celebrities, and then the only other thing of real note was there was a television.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was seated to where I was faced away from the television.
I was facing it.
What did you witness?
So something that you should know about Loving Hut is that in every single one of their locations, they broadcast the 24/7 television channel Supreme Master Television, which is what the card is from. And there's a website, suprememastertv.com. They have apps. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it in podcast form. It's on shortwave radio. It's on stations literally all around the world. Like when we were sitting there, they were listing all of the like new stations that they have, and it was literally like they had Mongolia and like Hawaii and some place in New Zealand, like literally everywhere. And I'm trying to remember exactly all the different things that we saw while we were there. There was a section where it was like quoting scripture from like 10 different major world religions that they were interpreting were all in support of a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle.
I like that they cover their bases.
They did the weather all around the world. There was a traditional Armenian orchestra. There was a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. Just
I have about 1,000 questions,
want.
by the way.
Yeah.
Are we going to be doing like another recording session back in our studio?
We will absolutely be doing another recording session. This is just to
a
talk about
debrief.
what we just did.
I just want to make sure because like because I have so many questions. Like maybe you'll answer them there, but I want to make sure that I wasn't just like not asking them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or asking at the wrong time. Anyway, please continue. Although, do you want me to actually...
Yeah, read what the card says about the television station.
Yeah. So on the front, it just says Supreme Master Television, suprememastertv.com. We will, of course, show you a picture of this on Instagram as well. On the back of the card, it says, Constructive Programming for a Peaceful World. suprememastertv.com. Live stream 24/7 worldwide in over 22 languages.
Damn.
And then it says follow us on our socials, and it has Facebook, Insta, and Twitter. Then it also has a QR code that I'm definitely going to scan.
Oh, absolutely.
And then it has an email us, peace@suprememastertv.com. And, well, excuse me, sorry. There's a contact us email. That's what that is. And then there's something called a Heartline email, which is heartline@suprememastertv.com.
We have to figure out what a Heartline is.
The fuck is a Heartline?
We're going to have to figure that out. Interesting. Oh, yeah, something else when we were watching the TV, I think it was mostly in English, and it was subtitled in 6 other languages. And as we were about to leave, there was like the channel that was, or the part of the show, the portion of the programming that was doing the weather was also doing news, and it was called Noteworthy News. And the reason why I made a weird...
Wait, hold up. Isn't that redundant?
Yes. The reason why I made a weird face when we were eating was because, not to be judgmental, but the news anchors may have been robots. Like, actually may have. I'm not sure. They were either robots or they were, like, being lit so heavily that all of their human features were washed out.
Oh, God.
And they looked like robots. They were, like, perfect-haired, perfectly symmetrical faces, perfectly
Are we going to be able to
outfitted.
find, like, videos or something to, like...
It's on YouTube, yes.
Okay. So
absolutely, we will
so
show.
we'll put this on the Culture Just Weird socials.
Oh, you will be able to see all of the TV. You're going to see all of the pictures that we took of the menu, of the food that we ate, of the interior of the restaurant. And yeah, when we get back home, we are going to continue learning more about Loving Hut as a restaurant and about Supreme Master Ching Hai herself.
I have so many questions.
You should.
But I will say, me as a Metasaurus, I really enjoyed their food. It was really good.
It was delicious.
They had really good fake beef in my Mongolian beef. Their jackfruit salad was very good, and their fried items were also very good. It was very tasty.
I would absolutely eat here again.
Oh yeah, and the waiter was super friendly.
Oh, they were so nice.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we caught this part inside the restaurant, but the whole time we were there, you heard the chopping of fresh vegetables in the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
Like the food was extremely fresh. Like you could tell that everything, like we got fried wontons and fried egg rolls, and they were like they had just been made. You could tell.
Yeah, and they had the babies for the baby blood that they were just extracting the blood from.
It was freshly harvested.
Delicious.
I think that's called slander.
Well, we can cut that part. It's not slander if we explain that is a joke.
A joke.
And it's false. They did not have any baby blood that we are aware of.
Anything else you want to say about our experience at Loving Hut today?
No, it was, overall I had a good meal there.
Yeah. I am excited for my leftovers later.
Yeah.
I'm also excited to get home and keep telling you about this place.
Oh, God. I am also excited.
Strap in. So, how was your meal? So now that we are back home in our studio.
Okay, well, so that's what I was going to say is now everybody knows that our studio is our home, and now the whole illusion is shattered. We have a big professional recording studio on Sony's campus. Now they know that we're just at home.
Do you think people record podcasts on the Sony lot?
The big ones do, Kayla.
They don't.
Well, Roman Mars, who, as you know from our previous episode, is a hero of mine, records in beautiful downtown Oakland, California.
Do you know where My Favorite Murder recorded up until very recently? One of their apartments. Up until very recently, and they got like a studio. Up until very recently, they were recording in just one of their apartments.
Yeah, I know this, but I'm trying to pull the wool over the eyes of our audience.
It's too late. We record in our house. So, now that we have fully digested, are you ready to continue our conversation about Loving Hut?
Yeah, and so far the digestion's going well. I'll definitely report back on Twitter once I've gotten to the end of the digestion.
Got it.
And I'll let you guys know.
I'm sure everyone is excited about that. So, as I mentioned back at Loving Hut, we need to talk about Supreme Master Ching Hai. Before we jump into her and her life, I'll quote some of my research. A few places helped me out. There's a great Vice article about Loving Hut by Justin Caffier. Wikipedia obviously was a great jumping off point. Ching Hai's own website, and there were various news outlets and subreddits, and even a My Recipes article, because apparently My Recipes does journalism.
What?
Yep.
Okay. I had no idea.
My Recipes, cult or just weird. Let's go. Supreme Master Ching Hai is an author, entrepreneur, and teacher of the Kuan Yin method of meditation. She has several business ventures, primarily a fashion company and the Loving Hut restaurant chain. Her business ventures are collectively known as Supreme Master Ching Hai International Association. Supreme Master Ching Hai...
I'm already boiling with questions.
Supreme Master Ching Hai was born with the name Hugh Dang Trinh in 1950 in a small village near Hanoi, Vietnam. Her parents were naturopaths, and while she was raised Roman Catholic, she was also taught about Buddhism from her grandmother. She would go to church in the morning and then Buddhist temple in the afternoon. And at the same time, she was also very interested in all kinds of philosophy at a very early age. And as a kid, she was reading Lao Tzu and Chang Tzu. Like, she was really in it. And according to her website, her father asked her if she understood these works, and she answered him, quote, "If I didn't understand, I wouldn't have any interest in doing this."
Ooh, sassy.
She was very concerned about the well-being and suffering of other people and animals, also from very early on. When there was a shortage of doctors and nurses in her village, she just decided, okay, I'll volunteer at the hospital. And she helped bathe patients, she emptied bedpans, she ran errands. And according to her, this is when she began to get some nicknames. The two nicknames she was given at this time were Living Buddha and Laughing Saint. And these were given to her by
I've
others.
heard of Hugging Saint.
Yeah, the
not
Hugging Saint is
Saint.
a different woman.
Okay, I thought I heard of it, but never mind. I didn't know there was a Laughing
It's
Saint.
Amma, the Hugging Saint, different thing. She was always known to love animals, and as a kid was often rehabilitating small animals like squirrels and whatever. And she would also cry at the slaughtering of animals, and therefore has been a vegetarian her entire life, eventually switching over to strict veganism.
She probably read Charlotte's Web as a kid.
Why do we do that to kids?
I don't know.
Why do we do that to children?
It's like all
horrifying.
children's literature seems to be trying to get people to be vegan.
Yeah.
All it is just anthropomorphizing things that we eventually eat.
Well, but literally, Charlotte's Web is about, like, Wilbur trying to trick the people into not eating him.
I know.
Like, it's not just like, oh, these are some pigs hanging out. Like, it's literally, Wilbur, you're
right,
going to get
it's about that.
if you don't figure out how to be something more than food.
Some pig.
Some pig. According to Supreme Master Ching Hai's website, an astrologer told her family when she was a child that she was, quote, an unusual, very intelligent being with superior character and morals.
How old was she?
I'm just going to assume somewhere between 7 and 12.
Damn. I like the chutzpah. How do I pronounce? I like the chutzpah on that kid.
It was predicted that she would be a renunciate and become enlightened if not married.
What's a renunciate?
But if married, she would have a happy relationship and an admirable husband. A renunciate is basically like an ascetic. It's like somebody who's like, I renunciate. I renounce.
I renunciate.
No,
yeah.
I renunciate. I renounce the trappings of modern society. I'm going to go study philosophy and meditate.
Got it. Like St. Francis or Avatar Aang.
Yes, exactly. Apparently, this prediction was repeated to her over and over by various spiritualists throughout her life. Later on, when she was a young adult, late teen, I don't know, somewhere around there, Ching Hai left home to become a nun, and her mother went to a temple to pray for her. A
Catholic nun?
I don't know, because a lot of this information is coming straight from the horse's mouth, and it just says nun, and nowhere else could I find, like...
Oh, so you tried to find that and
it
didn't say? Oh, wow.
None.
That's...
None.
Okay. I mean, the reason I ask is just because, like, remember when we were in the restaurant and we saw that there was, multiple different religions being cited and quoted? I'm totally getting that from what you're saying, where she was like
that's
Lao Tzu, and then she was Catholic. So I was
We'll talk about it more, but that's her thing. Like, her thing is, what she's preaching is not a religion. It's a method. It's a philosophy. It's a lifestyle thing. And so she draws from a lot of different spiritualities. So she could have been a Catholic nun. Nun could be a bad translation for monk of some kind. I don't quite know. And also it doesn't really matter because she was just she kind of believes that like all the world religions are basically the same thing, just with different packaging.
Right.
So she left home to become a nun. It was the first time for her leaving home. Her mother was nervous, went to a temple to pray for her, and she was told by the monks there that, quote, the master, Ching Hai...
And she was what, again, 7, 8, 9?
I mean, she was going by a different name, but this is the name that she goes by now. She wasn't called the master. She was going by Hugh Dang Trin, still going by her name at this point.
Okay.
But all of her materials currently refer to her in every iteration as the master. So that's what we're going with.
Got it. So it's like a retroactive title bestowed.
Yes.
Okay.
So her mother was told that your kid is a very rare and noble child, one of a billion. She has come to this world on the mission of Kuan Yin to save sentient beings from misery. Now, I just want you to remember, like, how much pressure you felt when you were a kid to, like, get good grades. Now, imagine if you had to save sentient beings from misery.
So, I mean, I feel like that's what stand-up comedians are pressured to do.
Yeah.
But I also...
She could have gone either way. She could have either become a cult leader or she could have been a stand-up.
One of the two.
Yep.
This also sounds a lot like Teal's origin story.
Well, she's not getting sewn into corpses yet.
A lot like Teal's actual real-life origin story, where she started off as like, I'm different and special.
How do you know that that's real?
How do I know that what's real?
That was actually her experience as a kid.
I don't. I don't, but I'm more willing to believe that she felt like she was a special child and was told that than I am that she was sewn into corpses.
She wasn't sewn into corpses. No one has ever done that or been that. Okay, so she left, became a nun. She's going to become saving sentient beings from misery. We don't really know what happened to the nun thing. She beat a nun for a little while, but apparently fairly soon after she left to be a nun, she started working in Germany as a translator for the Red Cross, generally in service of refugees. I don't want to make it sound like I didn't do my research. I mean, like, the information here is murky.
So it's like she's in Vietnam and she pops up in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's working for the Red Cross.
Okay.
Her position at the Red Cross put her in direct contact with the world's turmoil and suffering. The result of wars and natural disasters, mostly. From the website, quote, the Supreme Master Ching Hai suffered a great deal as she sought to alleviate the pain she saw and realized how impossible it was for one person to stop the suffering of humanity. This drove her more strongly toward enlightenment as she realized that only this could help alleviate mankind's pain. This experience kind of had her doubling down on her spirituality. She meditated harder. She sought teachers out. She read every kind of scripture she could get her hands on, like from the Bible to the Quran to the shit we've never even heard of. And even after all this, she felt stagnated. She felt like she wasn't actually getting closer to that state of enlightenment that she wanted, and that she kind of had been told that she was going to get to, so the pressure is on to get there.
And let me guess, the only way to get there is to cook delicious fake beef.
We'll get there.
Oh my God.
When she was 19, she married a German scientist who supported her beliefs. He also became a vegetarian. He went with her on pilgrimages, just all that kind of stuff. But in 2 years, the marriage split up so that she could focus on her spirituality. And according to Supreme Master Ching Hai, the German scientist supported her in this as well, as they both...
Does he have a name? Is it just German scientist?
German scientist.
Okay.
German scientist. They both knew that this divorce was a necessary step in her path towards enlightenment. Very amicable breakup, it sounds like.
Cool.
Then she began following
Best
another
kind.
nameless person. She began following a German Buddhist monk in the late 70s, but his monastery did not allow women to join, so she was like, fuck that, which, good for you, girl. Mm-hmm. She then moved...
Now she also has something in common with Mary Kay.
Oh, shit. It's all the same
related.
thing. She then moved to India with the intention of studying different religions. So again, she studied Buddha, Jesus, Lao Tzu again, many others. And this is where she developed the belief that all religions and spiritualities are basically the same, just practiced differently based on the differences of the people who follow that religion. But again,
stands to reason.
She still did not feel enlightened.
Damn, girl.
I know. She's doing so much work too.
Yeah,
and like,
I can't
don't
tell
wanna...
if she's like just being, like spoiled, like Ariel. I want more, or
don't you dare call Ariel spoiled.
She was a tad spoiled.
She was not spoiled. All of that she had in her grotto, she got herself. No one gave that to her.
Yeah, but she always wanted more, more, more.
Spoiled is when somebody else.
Why couldn't she
you.
just be under the sea and be happy?
I'm literally gonna kick your face.
There was a whole song about it.
So people should just be content with what they have and not strive for anything greater?
Maybe.
You're not allowed to see the live action remake. I'm not taking you. I'm going by myself.
Well, if it's anything like The Lion King, maybe I don't want to.
You haven't seen The Lion King, so how dare you slander it?
Okay, fine. But I do want to see it. You told me that it was like all weird and uncanny valley.
Well, I didn't see it either. I just read reviews and took them as the gospel truth.
Well, my parents said that it was good.
Well, I believe them.
Are we going to go back to talking about this cult?
Yeah, I was trying. So she didn't feel enlightened. I wanted to say that we were kind of making some jokes. We're not shitting on anyone's spiritual journey. This is hard work. And it's also a very valid quest.
Yeah, and I actually had a second thing that I wanted to say after spoiled. That was the joke part. So I don't want to sound like a dick. My second thing was, or maybe this was a very difficult journey, and then I feel for her in that case.
Right.
That's tough to get there.
Well, she got there, clearly, because we ate at her restaurant.
Yeah,
but we'll keep talking about the journey. Doesn't end
right,
there.
If the garlic sauce is any indication, she definitely got there.
Right. So a mythos around Supreme Master Ching Hai kind of started developing after this move to India, because there's this story that goes, one day she went to a bookshop near the Ganges River with the intention of buying a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the quintessential Hindu text. Mm-hmm. The bookshop owner told her that they did not have a copy, but she insisted that they at least look. The bookshop owner scoured the shop as Ching Hai insisted they keep looking, and eventually they found a copy hidden away in a corner in a sealed box. By 1982, this story had begun to circulate, leading to rumors that Ching Hai had a third eye and extrasensory powers.
This is way too cool to have actually happened. I'm sorry.
Can you imagine?
That's like the plot of what's the Nick Cage movie? It's like a National Treasure.
Just keep looking.
Or like Tomb Raider or something.
Well, she has extrasensory powers now. At this time, she wanted to find the perfect method, quote unquote, to reach enlightenment in a single lifetime. So she was like, okay, I've studied all this shit, and apparently it seems like if you just study, you'll get there eventually. But she's like, I want to find that one method that can get you there in a single lifetime, so you don't have to keep striving for enlightenment after every reincarnation. She's like, I want to get this efficient.
Efficient, I like. I'm a little skeptical of seeking perfection, but I appreciate efficiency.
Well, during her studies, she learned of a method that to her is the perfect method called Kuan Yin. We've mentioned it before. According to her website, none of the teachers that she had at the time knew of this method. So again, she spent some more time traveling and searching, and eventually she quote, found a Himalayan master who initiated her into the Kuan Yin method and gave her the divine transmission that she had sought for so many years, end quote.
You sure she didn't just like watch a kung fu movie and then write down what she saw and say that it happened to her?
Yeah, this is basically like a Batman origin story, or like yeah. I feel like
Batman
did this.
Yeah, or like once.
Not to like downplay the actual importance and like work that goes into this kind of like spiritual growth.
No, definitely not, and I'm sure she definitely did a lot of work. It's just some of this stuff is like,
it's really
whoa,
cool.
he trained on a mountain?
Yeah. With a Himalayan master who gave you the divine transmission.
Right.
Well, anyway, after this happened, she reached full enlightenment, and she stayed in...
As you would.
And she then stayed in the Himalayas for a while practicing this Kuan Yin method. Now, I Googled Kuan Yin quite a few times, and it's hard to find information about this method without being directed back to one of Supreme Master Ching Hai's own websites. From what I could find, the Kuan Yin method relates to the bodhisattva known in China as Guanyin. A bodhisattva, do you know what a bodhisattva is?
I was just going to ask you to explain. I mean, will it sound like a dick if I know? I know, but you should tell our listeners. Yeah.
What is it? Tell me. I'm gonna test you. Tell me, what is it?
Testing me live on the air.
Well, I'll cut this out, but what is it?
It's a reincarnation of Buddha that sort of has their own, like, it's like a Catholic saint. They have their own sort of abilities and stuff. Well, suck my balls.
Well, according to the definition that I found, a bodhisattva is any person on the path to Buddhahood that has not yet attained it. So it's like, yes, it is similar to a saint,
something else.
But I don't think it's a reincarnation of Buddha. I think it's a person on the way to becoming a Buddha who's just not 100% there yet.
Oh.
So that's who Guanyin is. Let me read you the Wikipedia passage about Guanyin. I just totally copy and pasted here.
That's what we do with Wikipedia.
Guanyin is the most commonly used translation of the bodhisattva known as Avalokitesvara. In English usage, Guanyin is the Buddhist bodhisattva associated with compassion and venerated chiefly by followers of Mahayana Buddhist schools as practiced in the Sinosphere. I'm getting technical.
Yeah, I'm barely following
I'll
this.
go slow. From the Buddhist perspective, the term Guanyin encompasses the entire spectrum of Mahayana Buddhist practices related to Avalokitesvara, or Guanyin, ranging from the Lotus Sutra and extending towards Shingon, as well as Tibetan Vajrayana. These are just all various belief schools in Buddhism.
Are you speaking in tongues?
This is something that I learned during my research, that like there are so many different belief schools in like Buddhist faith and Buddhist philosophy. There's like 100 different ways to practice this technique, this faith, this method, whatever you want to call it.
It's almost like it's like when Chef John talks about this is a technique, not a recipe. Boom. It's just like that.
That is a deep cut.
Yeah, it's good, right? That said, I didn't get anything that you just said. I didn't understand any of that.
So basically, Guanyin, she's a Buddhist bodhisattva.
Okay.
She's associated with compassion.
Up and coming Buddha.
She's associated with compassion, and she is worshipped or revered by followers of multiple different schools of Buddhist thought.
Okay. All right. I dig that.
The worship of Guanyin, or the belief in Guanyin, also includes localized practices from various other regions. These localizations are found throughout the Buddhist world. Guanyin also refers to the bodhisattva as adopted by other Eastern religions, such as Taoism, where she is revered as an immortal, as well as Chinese folk religions, Japanese Shinto, Korean blending of Guanyin worship with native beliefs, and in Vietnam, the adoption of Guanyin by Cao Daism, which is just another faith.
So this, how do I pronounce it again?
Guanyin.
Guanyin. So this Guanyin is she's big.
She's big. She's everywhere.
Okay.
In Western languages, she was first given the name of, quote, Goddess of Mercy, or the Mercy Goddess, by Jesuit missionaries in China.
Okay.
The Chinese name Guanyin is...
It makes sense because you said compassion.
Right.
Okay.
The Chinese name Guanyin is short for Guanxiyin, which means the one who perceives the sounds of the world, which is the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's such an awesome name. And also
the one who perceives the sounds of the world?
And also has nothing to do with compassion and mercy.
It doesn't?
Oh, I guess if you can perceive the sounds of the world, you can
you're
like
tuned
hear
in, listening to everyone. Yeah.
You're like, you have the Superman problem.
Right. What's the Superman problem? I said right. I don't know what that is. Does Superman have real good hearing? Please tell me Superman doesn't.
Yeah. What? Superman has super hearing. He can hear anything, anywhere, and that's how he can respond to crimes.
No.
But then sometimes it's been explored in the comic that it's like crushingly depressing because he hears everything and can't fix everything.
Okay, I have a little bit more respect for everyone who wants to like depict Superman as like a Christ figure now. I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah, dog. Like, Superman's actually... I used to be like, Superman's a lame character.
No, Superman's cool.
But there's some very interesting Superman literature out there.
Well, he is not the one who perceives the sounds of the world. That is Guanxiyin or Guanyin.
Yeah, I hate to do this, but because you're probably just driving towards this anyway, but what does she have to do with Supreme Master Ching?
Don't ask that question yet.
Okay, all right.
Because she's associated with compassion, she's also been associated heavily with vegetarianism. Mm-hmm. Buddhist cuisine is generally decorated with her image, and she appears in most Buddhist vegetarian pamphlets and magazines in East Asia.
What?
Yeah. So basically, Kuan Yin, as a method, is an esoteric Buddhist practice relating to the ideals of the Bodhisattva Guanyin. So this goddess, this Bodhisattva, inspires or is the source of this method that Supreme Master Ching Hai says this is the perfect way to enlightenment within a single lifetime.
So she looked at all the things and was like, it's this one.
It's this one that I've learned from the Divine Master in the Himalayas.
Well, I'll be damned.
After Supreme Master Ching Hai reached enlightenment, the mythos around her only grew. Again, her site tells a story about how she now eventually traveled to Taiwan, and one night when she was meditating in a small temple, she was approached by a group of people who said, quote, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, the goddess of mercy, replied to our prayers and told us about you, saying that you were the great master and we should pray to you for the method to reach liberation. She tried to send them away because she was like, no, I'm just a girl, I'm just doing my thing, I'm not a leader, don't worship me. She tried to send them away, the people wouldn't leave, and eventually she agreed to initiate these people into the Kuan Yin method after they agreed to several months of practice with her and a switch to a vegetarian diet.
Okay, all right. Switch to a vegetarian diet, that sounds like a little bit of maybe life consumed and or ritual.
I mean,
maybe
it's definitely associated with this Bodhisattva. It's also associated with the Supreme Master herself. We can discuss it later, but definitely keep it in your mind. Supreme Master Ching Hai's website also calls her shy and says that she initially did not look for people to teach, and much like those people in the temple, she tried to avoid people who wanted her initiation.
Interesting.
This happened over and over. People would seek her out, she'd send them away, they'd seek her out, she'd send them away. Eventually, she realized she couldn't keep running from this, and becoming a teacher of this method was her destiny.
Yeah, I mean, but we know that that's the way to attract people, is to play hard to
be like,
get.
No,
please. My enlightenment is only for me.
Making yourself scarce makes you very attractive, yes.
Yeah, that's why I've never been attractive.
Yeah, you do not make yourself scarce. I wish you would. She knew she needed to spread her message and began initiating more and more students into the Kuan Yin method. Apparently, one of her largest followings still is in Taiwan, but she's also taught across the world, throughout Asia, the United States, Latin America, and Europe. Her website states, quote, although no formal organization exists to spread her teachings, grateful friends and disciples are to be found all over the world, ready and willing to help others learn from their beloved master. Now, if you'll recall, we said up top, did we say this up top? Maybe I'll cut this out. We said up top that all of her businesses were like kind of conglomerated under one roof.
We're definitely not cutting this. Yeah, you said that. You said that there's like a Supreme Master Ching Hai International
Association.
Yeah.
So to me, that seems like a pretty formal organization existing to spread your teachings, but I guess that doesn't match their definition of formal organization existing to spread your teachings.
Once you have a conglomerate corporation.
Once you LLC, you're like...
But that's not even LLC. That's an LLC with subsidiaries.
Right.
right? Like that's some work. There's somebody whose job is just to make sure that that's
Right.
all running smoothly.
So that's according to the website. Call a little bit of shenanigans on it. Mm-hmm. Now, you might be wondering, exactly what are her teachings?
I was. Well, aren't her teachings just, she says, hey, follow this lady, follow Guan Yin?
Well, there's a specific method.
Okay, so there's like her
teaches.
flavor of it.
Yeah.
And it's a very vegetarian flavor, I might add.
Oh my God. Shut up. Jesus Christ. So it's a little difficult to kind of parse out what exactly the specific method is. I think partly by it's just a lot of weird stuff and sometimes that's difficult to communicate, and also partly by like intentional obfuscation, because you need to be you specifically need to be initiated into this method. You can't just like, I'm Guan Yin now. Like, you have to be initiated into this practice.
So it's closed door.
But we do know that vegan food, she's into vegan food and she preaches vegan food, and that there's some compassion going on. Another tangible is that she and her followers meditate 2.5 hours a day.
Oof.
And on some days, I think specifically Sundays, that meditation session can stretch into the 5-hour mark.
Woo! That's a lot.
Now, we will get into some more specifics later because I did some more digging. We got some more, but we'll table it for now and we'll talk about it later.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. She is said to go where there is suffering in order to alleviate it, be it spiritual suffering, physical, material. Again, according to her website, she has helped with homelessness in the U.S., SoCal fire victims, Midwest U.S. flood victims, disadvantaged elderly in Brazil.
That's more than most Americans do.
People displaced by volcanic eruptions in the Philippines, Aulak refugees, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. I couldn't really find much to corroborate this, as, again, most of the stuff just kind of led back to her own websites. However, we can confirm that she has received a number of different global awards.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, well, that seems corroborating.
I mean, it's not corroborating of these specific claims, but she has gotten some awards.
Yeah, it suggests that there's some veracity to them.
Right. So, according to her website, quote, although she has not sought acknowledgement of any kind, the Supreme Master Ching Hai has been recognized and honored for her humanitarian work by government officials throughout the world. For example, October 25th, 1993 was proclaimed the Supreme Master Ching Hai Day by the mayor of Honolulu, Hawaii. And February 22nd, 1994 was likewise proclaimed by the governors of the states of Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Kansas, Missouri, and Minnesota.
They had Supreme Master Ching Hai days?
Yep.
In the Midwest?
Yep. Because she helped with the flood victims.
Okay.
She also received the World Peace Award in Honolulu and the World Spiritual Leadership Award at a ceremony in Chicago on February 22nd, 1994. Congratulatory messages were sent to the Chicago ceremony by many government officials worldwide, including Presidents Clinton, Bush, and Reagan.
Damn, she's big time.
Other awards I could find. 1993, Frank Fossey, mayor of Honolulu again, presented her with honorary citizenship. She was presented...
How come I've never heard of this person?
I think you should remember that. It's weird.
Okay.
It's just weird to me. Like, I don't really get into that, but like, yeah, it's kind of like Donald Bren situation.
Yeah. Is it that, or is it just like it's the racism? Like, I haven't heard of anything that's east of the...
Oh no, because she's here. I think she lives here
in the U.S.
I couldn't find her address. I tried to figure out where she is, but I think
Can we go to her house?
I think she resides in the United States currently.
In Southern California.
I think Florida.
Ooh, I know where we're going next time we visit Florida.
So yeah, she got all these awards, the 94 awards we talked about. In 2006, she got the Gusi Peace Prize, presented by the President of the Philippines, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Now, I'm going to read you something from her website that we need to keep in mind for the future. I don't remember why I said that, so maybe I'll cut that part. I don't know. I don't remember why I said we're going to keep it in mind, but we'll see. Quote, the sales of all her artistic endeavors have enabled Master Ching Hai to create an independent source of funding for humanitarian activities, highlighting her pragmatic view that we should always try and create our own means from which to give others. So yeah, we do talk about that a little bit more.
Okay.
A little bit later.
Okay.
She still teaches all over the world. She gives lectures to students who wish to be initiated and is willing to accept all faiths into her spiritual practice. So again, being into Supreme Master Ching Hai is not mutually exclusive with like Christianity or Buddhism or Hindu.
I feel like that's common too.
Yeah, I know.
I feel, like that was Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh's thing.
Right.
That's Ramtha's thing.
Like, we're not a religion. We're just a thing.
Yeah, you can do whatever religion you want and still do this. Right. It's good because it lowers the barrier of entry.
Right. But also, like, there are quote-unquote legitimate organizations that do it as well, like the Unitarian Universalist Church, which is, like, that's a very...
a cult.
It's a very legitimate faith organization, but it is not mutually exclusive with Christianity or Buddhism or Islam or other faiths. Anybody can be a Unitarian Universalist and also continue to practice other faiths. Maybe we'll do them someday.
I'm having a hard time logicking that.
Atheists can be in the church because it's more like the Unitarian Universalist, from what I understand, it's almost more of a humanist organization.
Yeah,
like
it doesn't seem like a church.
It's not like an organized faith in that way.
But I guess we've talked about this before, if what you want out of church is that sense of community and, togetherness and helping your neighbor and that kind of thing, then you can, and if you find that there, then I guess you can call it a church just for that flavor.
Plus they get to sing like popular songs as opposed to like hymns.
Oh shit, son.
Yeah, it's great.
Nice.
Go. Supreme Master Ching Hai speaks 5 languages, and she says that all her lectures and initiations are free of charge. Okay, so now we've got an overview of who Supreme Master Ching Hai is. And it all sounds like pretty okay, right? Like
the fact that you're asking me that is really scary.
Well, no.
Now, here's what it sounds like to me right now. Some lady, she did a lot of studying, a lot of trying to get enlightened. She found the things she liked. Other people liked it too, started following her, and then she did a bunch of humanitarian things and then got important, if not famous. Right.
Like, this is just a woman who promotes veganism and meditation and compassion.
Yeah.
We ate at one of her restaurants. It was delicious. So at this point, like, maybe you're thinking, okay.
Can we just say the end at this point and just have
another weird group here, right?
Man.
Or at least we're looking at another beneficial cult.
The end.
Okay. I want to confess something. I wrote this script simultaneously while I was doing research. So when I wrote these words, I hadn't yet come across anything too terrible about Supreme Master Ching Hai and her group. But we're just getting started, so maybe I'll contradict myself later. I know now, but the me that wrote this didn't know, and the you now listening to it don't know. So let's find out together. Let's go ahead and talk about her various business ventures, including Loving Hut, and more specific details of her teachings.
Good. Let's bring it back to our lunch.
I mean, my next sentence is like, we've talked plenty about Loving Hut at this point. So just to reiterate, Loving Hut is a restaurant concept created by Supreme Master Ching Hai in 2008. It is the fastest growing vegan restaurant chain in the world and has 140 locations across the globe. Each restaurant is a franchise, allowing each owner to create their own vegan menu and restaurant style. Each owner is a member of Ching Hai's movement. As we noted, when we ate there, many restaurants feature photos of famous vegans. We saw it, and then the person who wrote the Vice article also experienced that same thing. Okay. And every single restaurant features a television that plays, as we mentioned, Supreme Master Ching Hai's very own 24/7 pro-vegan, pro-peace satellite channel known as Supreme Master TV.
Okay. Still not sounding bad. Peace is good.
Yeah, it's great. Let's talk about Supreme Master TV a little bit. If you Google Supreme Master TV, you get a number of results. SupremeMasterTV.com, smtv.godsdirectcontact.net, Supreme Master Television YouTube, SupremeMasterTV.tv, and the list goes on. And that's actually something that I noticed in my research. Like, this woman has a shit ton of websites. Like, a million different websites. All kind of the same thing, but just a million different, domain names.
I mean, she approaches that the same way she approached religion. You just that
get 'em
shotgun
all.
effect.
It's
yeah.
Pokemon. Supreme Master TV is it's interesting. You and I witnessed it.
It was weird.
I think you might have already said this, but if not, I'll repeat it. Supreme Master Television calls itself, quote, constructive programming for a peaceful world. It has its own logo, kind of looks like a little heart thingy. And like we mentioned, 24/7 satellite channel owned by Ching Hai herself. It is broadcast in over 40 countries and provides subtitles in a half dozen to a dozen languages. While the focus of the channel is Ching Hai's specific brand of veganism and Buddhism, the rest of the various programming on the channel consists of spiritual and uplifting and pro-vegan and eco-friendly stories, such as these are like literally names and or descriptions of programs that are present on the channel. Uplifting literature, teachings from saints, breatharianism,
Yes, there it is.
Animal World, our co-inhabitants, cinema scene, and show.
Show?
Show.
Just show?
There was just a thing called show. And honestly, I put the link in here because I just needed you to see it. Because I clicked on it, like, it was like, this is a program. This is like something that's played on the show. And
Show,
it's called,
is it Show the Show?
it literally was just a link that said, it just said show. And then I click on it and it just is this. It just says show. That's it.
Somebody call Kyle Mooney.
Show.
It's Show the Show.
So
Okay.
I liked that one.
Yeah, I dig it.
So show, and then just kind of on and on. Because again, it's a 24/7 channel. There needs to be a ton of programming. And like we said, we saw the channel while we were eating there, and it was weird. Like, it looks like a PBS show put on by a cult. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it does. It's like a cable access cult channel.
Yeah. Supreme Master Ching Hai herself also makes appearances there, of course, frequently. And interestingly, their Twitter is extremely active, and they tweet about once a day.
No shit. Why aren't we following them yet?
I think I did. I either followed them from my personal or from our Culture Just Weird Twitter account. Either way, we're following them.
Yeah, okay, good.
They tend to highlight various eco-friendly advances in technology, animal discoveries, that kind of thing. Supreme Master TV also claims to be a nonprofit, for what it's worth. Many of the people who appear on the station and help it run are volunteers, i.e., unpaid followers of Supreme Master Ching Hai. They'll pay for their own travel just for the opportunity of working for the Supreme Master herself. But like we mentioned, Supreme Master TV and Loving Hut aren't Supreme Master Ching Hai's only business ventures. She also launched a clothing line in New York and Paris in 1995, and I think she still sells some of this shit on her websites. She has authored picture books, such as The Birds in My Life and The Noble Wilds, and those are books consisting of photos that she has taken. She's written other books. She sells all of these things on her websites
All
and
these
elsewhere.
things are very disparate.
Her organization hosts websites which offer digital downloads of her media in 17 languages, as well as a, quote, celestial shop, which sells apparel and jewelry designed by Hai, often monogrammed with SM, or Supreme Master. And she also there sells her own paintings and vegan fur.
Vegan fur.
Vegan fur.
Love it.
Which is plastic.
Right, but I'm sure it feels nice.
I'm not saying it doesn't feel nice. I just, when you start getting into the vegan fur and the vegan leather stuff, it gets really interesting because
it's just as damaging.
Because yeah, it can be very damaging to the ecosystem because again, like, vegan fur is plastic, which kills a lot of fish and other animals. Vegan leather is made out of petroleum. Don't think I need to explain that any further. So it's kind of like where, how much karmic harm are you outweighing?
Veganism can get problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do that one day.
Aren't we kind of like we're doing veganism the cult here?
We're just doing a cult that has veganism. We'll do veganism as a cult later.
This is a vegan adjacent.
So yeah, the girl makes money. But even so, it's not entirely clear where her fortune comes from. We might have mentioned before that Ching Hai claims that the group doesn't ask for or accept donations. But that doesn't really make sense.
You said the channel was a nonprofit.
Channel's a nonprofit. Her thing's a nonprofit. But, like, nonprofits still accept donations. But, like, if you go on some of her websites, they're very much like, we do not accept. Which, again, doesn't make any sense because, like, multiple reports claim that the Los Angeles chapter of the group, which is the largest chapter, has 1.2 million in assets. And I saw...
LA, woo.
Oh, yeah. I saw reports that had that as high as 3.7 million.
Oh, my God.
But there's very little evidence from the IRS or otherwise that these aren't donation-based, so I don't understand. But there's also no evidence from the IRS or otherwise that the money is being improperly spent.
Okay.
In fact, the group donates huge sums per year. In 2009, the LA Center donated $639,066 to a variety of charitable organizations.
That's not pocket change.
No. And it also doesn't look like anyone's like... This money doesn't look like it's going directly into her pockets. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. No one's getting improperly rich off of this.
So she's not like flying in helicopters and then going into her Rolls Royce. Oh.
We'll talk about it.
Oh.
Their donations aren't entirely scandal-free, however. In 1994, Supreme Master Ching Hai gave $640,000 to Bill Clinton's Presidential Legal Expenses Trust, which 2 years later was returned because of quote-unquote suspicious funding sources. And I couldn't really find too much more about it than suspicious funding sources.
That doesn't sound good for either of them.
After that return, her group was described as a cult by both Time magazine and the Chicago Tribune.
Oh, so they just dove right in.
Called it a cult.
Okay.
Political scientist Patricia Thornton at the University of Oxford claims that the source of income behind all of Hai's various business ventures are still murky. Because again,
so we just don't know where she makes her money at all?
Yeah.
We just don't know.
I mean, yeah, basically.
Do we guess? Do you guess?
No.
Do you have a theory? Is it the food?
We can talk about it later.
Okay.
We'll get into it. She also says that the Ching Hai World Society's heavy reliance on the internet for text distribution, recruitment, and information sharing marks the group as a transnational cyber sect. Good to know.
Oh, you almost said cyber sex. What a bummer.
Transnational cyber sex. And that most of the media produced by her television programs is heavily self-referential and promotional and aims to, quote, build a public record of recognition for group activities. So basically it's a recruitment tool, which...
Yeah, I mean, clearly.
But, like, this is a professional person saying that.
Oh, well, yeah, but I mean, I feel like watching that channel, it was clearly...
Pretty clear.
Yeah.
So, okay. I feel like we've talked enough about the business stuff. Let's move on now to the weirder stuff. We can talk about the specific teachings. We can talk about her personality, her followers.
You said we'd get to that in
all that juicy shit.
When I asked where the hell does her money come from?
We can speculate later when it's appropriate.
Okay.
We said we'd come back to the Kuan Yin method. So let's do that now. According to my research, the first time Ching Hai demonstrated the method for followers was in Taiwan. And while its shorthand name is the Kuan Yin method of meditation, she's also called it the, quote, immeasurable light meditation center in the way of sound contemplation.
That's a mouthful.
Which kind of relates back to what Kuan Yin about listening to the sounds of the world.
Oh,
kind of
okay,
thing.
Sure.
The method is similar to a particular form of yoga called Shrat Sabad Yoga, which is found in a Hindi tradition. This form of yoga relies heavily on spiritual vibrations and internal mantras. And again, Ching Hai did not invent this method herself, but was initiated into it, and now she initiates others.
Was this what she learned from the Himalaya dude?
Yes.
Okay.
The mantra she often gives to followers to utilize during meditation is her own name. In fact, she wrote a book called The Key of Immediate Enlightenment and said in that book that those who recite her name as a mantra during the practice would become spiritually enlightened.
That is, oh man, that is ballsy.
It is clever.
I respect that a lot.
The meditation method also asks that you center on the, quote, inner light and inner sound of God. Take that as you will. One nice thing about Ching Hai is that she incorporates a variety of faiths into her teachings, like we said, and says that the Bible itself contains descriptions of this method, and many other world religions have also used it. They just called it different names. Mm-hmm. As mentioned before, the method requires 2.5 hours of meditation per day, as well as an adherence to a vegan or vegetarian diet, and one must also adhere to 5 precepts. The precepts of the Kuan Yin method are very similar to the 5 precepts of Buddhism.
Okay.
So I'll read those for you now. They're basically the same thing. 1. As all Buddhas refrained from killing until the end of their lives, so I too will refrain from killing until the end of my life. 2. As all Buddhas refrained from stealing until the end of their lives, so I too will refrain from stealing until the end of my life. 3. As all Buddhas refrained from sexual misconduct until the end of their lives, so I too will refrain from sexual misconduct until the end of my life. 4. As all Buddhas refrain from false speech until the end of their lives, so I too will refrain from false speech until the end of my life. 5. As all Buddhas refrained from alcohol until the end of their lives, so I too will refrain from alcohol until the end of my life.
Boring.
So some of the differences between the Kuan Yin precepts and the Buddhist precepts are basically like, I think they specifically call out lying instead of false speech. Mm-hmm. And then I think instead of just being only alcohol, like they're kind of no mind-altering substances at all.
Again, boring.
Yeah, but they're enlightened.
So their mind is already altered.
Yeah, they don't need your
They can just
booze.
meditate their way into being high.
Exactly.
Man, that's awesome.
Ching Hai, Supreme Master Ching Hai, refers to herself as God's direct contact. In fact, that's the name of one of her websites.
I feel like I've heard that from other charismatic leaders.
So that means that her enlightenment has put her directly in touch with the ultimate deity, and followers can think of her as a conduit to the divine.
I feel like we need to go ask Teal, who has access to the Akashic records, if Ching Hai can really talk to God.
Right.
Or maybe we should ask Ching Hai if she can ask God if Teal really has access to the Akashic records.
But don't leave Ramtha out of this.
Oh, right. All right, I'll have to get back to you.
So, kind of along with this, in all of her websites, several million of her websites, she is written about in a way that mimics the way Christians speak about their God, i.e., her pronouns, she, her, are always capitalized. Interesting.
Oh, man, I use that word again. The chutzpah on this lady is
But remember, she
awesome.
didn't ask for this. She didn't pursue this. This was thrust upon her.
Yeah, right. So humble.
The followers sought her out.
She's humble.
She tried to
fuck.
send them away. And speaking of her followers, it's estimated that she has anywhere from 500,000 to 2 million people worldwide.
Holy crap.
Not a small deal. Not a small deal.
So when we get to is it niche?
Yeah, remember that for our criteria. She's also, this is where we can kind of talk about, we can start speculating about some of the money thing again. She's also incredibly well known for her looks. That sounds weird, so let me explain.
Are you going to show me a picture?
Yes. Supreme Master Ching Hai appears on her television channel often, as well as in speaking engagements, publicly in speaking engagements all over the world. Ever since she's become such a public figure, I misspelled that and it says pubic figure, just thought you might want to know that. Ever since she's become such a public figure, she's been known for her colorful gowns and robes, her crown-like headdresses, and her very noticeable jewelry, a look that actually mimics the depiction of Guan Yin herself. She currently has platinum blonde hair and rarely appears wearing the same thing twice.
Does she look like Mary Kay?
She does not look like Mary Kay, but I feel like she does have nice makeup. I'll show you some pictures in a moment. Some critics point to her personal style as being incompatible with her claims of being humble and living modestly. Also kind of doesn't go along with the, she's not getting rich off of her religion. Mm-hmm. These critics also point to the fact that while she doesn't travel by helicopter necessarily, she often travels to events via limousine. And, quote, inspires feverish adoration like a kind of deity come rock star. Often when she appears, it's on lavish sets, and she's accompanied by a small handful of her preferred followers. So yeah, let me pull up some pickies.
Pickies?
Some pickies.
Is that what the Zennials are calling pictures?
That's what I'm calling pictures. So that's an image of her on her website.
Wow.
This is pre-platinum blonde hair.
Okay.
You can see she's got she's adorned with a ton of jewelry. She's got a bunch of necklaces, big old earrings, like a crowny thingy, and then like a giant headdress.
She looks like a literal queen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks like a supreme master.
Yeah.
Next one is similar, just a different color, less jewelry, no platinum blonde hair.
The clothing's gorgeous.
But she does have platinum blonde hair. This is a picky of her.
Stop saying picky, please.
This is a picture of her basically entering one of her sets to give a speech.
Yep, and I see she has handlers there.
She's being accompanied by two gorgeous golden women. They're clad in gold, straight up. She looks like a goddess.
Yeah.
So, it kind of doesn't really, not really is compatible with the the money gets donated, no one's getting rich out of this.
Yeah, humility is one of the last words I think of when I look at this picture.
She kind of addresses that in a way that, again, doesn't really go along with the, she's shy lifestyle type thing. We'll talk about it in a second. we're starting now to get into what I'm going to call the tidbits. Just the weird little things that came up during my research that just kind of made me go, huh.
Also, the little bits of leftover fake beef and pea pods, those were also tidbits.
Yeah. So, at one point in Supreme Master Ching Hai's career as a spiritual leader, she allegedly sold her bathwater online, claiming that it had spiritual healing properties.
Ew.
Also, allegedly, she once sold her dirty socks to a follower for $800. Allegedly. Supreme Master Ching Hai, as we mentioned, is a pseudonym. But she has other pseudonyms. In the States, like I mentioned where she sometimes resides, she operates under the name Celestia de l'Amour.
That's a great name.
Yes.
That's also a drag name?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. She probably stole that from a drag queen.
Well, strangely enough, the name came up during a particularly weird controversy that had to do with her. In 2004, an artificial island and a 330-foot-long boardwalk was created in the Biscayne National Park, which is in Florida.
Yeah, Biscayne, but yeah.
It was... So this thing got built, kind of just popped up out of nowhere, and then...
What do you mean this thing got built?
It was an artificial island with a boardwalk, got built in Biscayne National Park, and...
It's a national park. You can't just, build stuff there.
Yeah, I know. The government had to spend $1 million to remove it after it was illegally constructed by workers at a property owned by Ching Hai. So she kind of, lived near this thing, and then they were just like, we're going to build this.
Okay.
And she was known locally under the pseudonym Celestia de l'Amour.
You kind of broke me there.
Sorry. The private property owned by Supreme Master Ching Hai adjacent to the national park was then seized by police and later sold at auction to the village of Palmetto Bay.
Question. Why did she do that?
Why
did she build an artificial
island? Her followers
island?
did it.
Oh, her followers
did it, and the idea is that her followers did it to please her.
Follow-up question.
It's unclear whether they were directed to do this or they were just kind of like, let's build an island.
Okay, that was my follow-up question.
Yeah. Unclear.
Right. Okay, so... And this is all tied back to my lunch today.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, this lady is the one who made it possible for you to eat at Loving Hut because it was her idea. It's her brainchild.
Uh-huh.
I found one news site which claimed that Ching Hai at various times had promoted the idea that time travel is possible.
Is possible.
Is possible. I don't think it's hard to believe that that's something that she touts because, like we said earlier, she believes in fucking breatharianism, which, for anyone who doesn't know, breatharianism is the belief that human beings can survive on simply sunlight and water alone, like a plant. You can just breathe in the nutrients that you need from the air.
P.S. Plants can't survive on that alone, but...
Yeah, and also breatharianism has, injured and killed people, so don't do it.
Yeah, don't not eat forever.
No. Also, don't stare directly into the sun.
That does feel like a natural extension of super veganism. You know, it's like if I don't want to kill anything.
Right, you go from strict veganism to fruitarianism to breatharianism to you're dead.
Can you eat salt? Because salt, you don't have to kill anything.
Yeah, but you don't have to kill anything to eat other things either. Like breatharianism, I don't think in breatharianism there's just eat salt.
I guess if you're one of those people that only eats the fruit that naturally fell off the tree, you could do that.
One day we'll do breatharianism on this podcast because my favorite story about breatharianism was I don't know if it was just some guy who ran a sect or if it's the guy who invented breatharianism. Mm-hmm. He was once caught sneaking into a hotel and ordering a chicken pie.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's my favorite thing.
I remember that story.
Okay, so...
Next time on Cult or Just Weird.
So she believes in breatharianism. She believes in time travel. In other lectures, she's promoted the idea of materialism. This is what I mentioned before. This is a quote from her. Quote, "People will make you feel guilty about making money. It's none of their business."
Are you sure you're not just quoting Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh there?
Yeah.
Because that's almost word for word.
I know.
Okay.
There's a lot of similarities amongst a lot of these groups.
I wonder why. It's almost like they need some sort of internal justification for all the money that they get.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's less than. I think it's more don't criticize me for making money.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you meant more they have to convince themselves.
Oh.
I think it's more of an external justification.
Yeah, I'm an intro to the cult, but yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, so we're both right.
Yay.
She's also mentioned that crop circles are messages aliens leave for each other and show UFOs where to land safely.
Okay, well, I've seen signs, so I know that that's true.
I'll take this moment to clarify that crop circles are a pretty neatly debunked hoax.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. It's people, it's not aliens. I'll link to some info.
Then why do I have all these glasses of water just sitting around my house?
You didn't even like that movie.
It was mediocre.
It was fantastic. I
also,
love Signs.
like 70% of our audience is like, what the fuck are you talking about? Water around your house?
Go watch Signs. It was M. Night Shyamalan's third film, I believe.
If you email us at Cult or Just Weird, I will give you the synopsis of Signs, and you don't have to watch it.
Okay, I think people can probably just Google it for themselves. They don't need you to give them a synopsis. Like,
Maybe they want it.
you?
Maybe Cult or Just Weird movie critic corner
Okay, well,
is a
if
new
you
thing.
watch the movie, email us and let us know. And then we could talk about it.
Let us know how crappy it was.
I really like that movie. And you're wrong about a lot of things. You also didn't like Children of Men, so you can pretty much fuck right off. Is what I'm going to say right now.
It was...
In an article in the Phoenix New Times, Stephen Lemons visited the Supreme Master Ching Hai International Association in Arizona. It's a smaller one. I think there's like only 40 people that go there. And even so, he noticed that the center featured numerous shrines to Ching Hai herself, including large portraits of her. And many followers at the center wore like big medallions that also had like photos of Supreme Master Ching Hai on them. She's also vehemently a proponent of anti-climate change activism.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, veganism helps that more than pretty much anything.
Right. She believes veganism will save the world. She often points to the fact that there used to be 4 Venuses. As a cautionary tale, the other ones died out.
Where did that come from?
The other Venuses died out due to global warming, and we don't want to be like them. It's also...
Were they... Okay, hold on.
Couldn't find out much more about that.
Where are they? Are they in the current Venus's orbit?
No, I think they just like flew away.
So they got so hot that they flew away?
Or disintegrated.
Or they melted.
They were destroyed.
Okay, they melted and were destroyed. Does she know how hot the current Venus is? That it's like the most global warmed place?
You'll have to ask her.
Okay, well, we're going to go talk to her when we go to Biscayne Bay.
It's actually really funny. No, that property was sold. She doesn't have that property anymore.
Right. Well, shit, we got to track her down.
It's really funny because in this article in the Phoenix New Times, that I think is from 2009, they talk a lot about her belief in climate change and her like anti-climate change activism. Mm-hmm. And because it was 2009 and because it's coming from Phoenix, they paint that aspect of her teachings
interesting.
as like doomsday
wacky.
Cult, as like this is very much doomsday cult stuff. She thinks the world's gonna end. It's just kind of like all of those Hale-Bopp comet people.
Great that's
but again,
good.
it's 2009. I don't know if 10 years later if this writer would say the same thing. Also, this writer was clearly wrong. I don't want to side with the cult leader, but climate change is real.
Right. No, but it is shitty.
We don't want to burn up like one of the 4 Venuses.
Right. We don't. Yeah. I mean, there's only one Venus left.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is shitty that it's like that you can attach negativity to something like that,
right?
Via being a little also crazy.
Well, it's the same with veganism too. Like you said, like I don't know if veganism is necessarily the answer to saving the world. I do think it is an answer potentially. That's not going to fix everything, but it's definitely a tactic that can be taken.
Sure, it's the simple fact is...
But to attach it to a cult is just kind of like shitty. Right,
well, and the simple fact is that the most greenhouse gases comes from, unfortunately, raising meat for us to eat.
Right.
Or at least the most powerful ones, if not by volume, certainly by greenhouse
it's
capability.
Literally all their farts and burps and poops.
Right. Which I'm aware of, and I would
honestly,
love to be vegan myself. I love meat so much.
Oh yeah, I guess I should full disclosure. One host is a meatitarian, and the other host is a 99% of the time vegetarian. Dabbles in veganism and other things from time to time. I don't think it's a mystery which is which.
Is it because I already said that I'm a Metasaurus?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't only eat meat.
He only eats meat. Don't let him fool you.
Sometimes I have like sauce on the meat.
Sometimes you put salt on the meat.
Yeah, and then like hot dogs need to have
Gotta have a bun.
I was going to say mustard. Buns
true.
are optional, really.
Buns are always optional. So, yeah, climate change is real. Try a vegan meal once in a while. If the world ends, it's because of
You.
cow poops.
Oh, sorry, right.
So, we said that we're going to get into the weird stuff.
Wait, what? This was already... There's 4 Venuses.
Let's get into the real weird stuff. This is the, like, real life, culty, like, hard cult kind of stuff.
Okay.
First, Ching Hai was at the center of a controversy in China in 2002. While her movement had long been deemed anti-communist and a reactionary religious organization in China, the real trouble, because again, like, as far as I know, please correct me if I'm wrong, there's not a lot of room for various faiths in China, and various faiths can be labeled these things, especially like back in 2002 times.
Yeah, I think that's true, but that's not a topic that I'm well versed in, other than just knowing that traditional, like, Leninist communism, at least, was atheist, was anti-religion.
So the real trouble for Ching Hai began when an electronics company was accused by the government of actually being a front for recruiting members into Supreme Master Ching Hai's group.
An electronics company?
Yeah, and they were secretly distributing texts and organizing these initiations.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't really mean anything because, like, China thinks a lot of things are cults, right? Like,
Sure.
they have deemed a lot of various religions cults, so that doesn't necessarily mean Ching Hai's a cult. Mm-hmm. I mean, as one of the articles I read stated, quote, unlike practices used at better-known cults, Ching Hai does not seem to be calling on her followers to cut themselves off from their friends and family, nor hustling them for their money.
Aww.
According to her website, her lectures, which are attended by hundreds of devotees, are free of charge. Okay, but not so fast.
Oh.
The My Recipes article, as well as...
Oh, My Recipes with the incisive
Well, it was a combo...
reporting.
What follows is a combo of My Recipes and the Phoenix New Times article.
Why My Recipes?
They have a journalism branch. I don't understand.
But, like, what's...
It's called, like, Krusty or something.
But is it because of Loving Hut that they're like, we're going to dig into this? Or is it just, like, random? Why did somebody at the My Recipes journalism branch say, I'm going to do a story on Ching Hai?
Because it's about food.
Okay, because it's about food. That's what I was... Okay.
Yeah, it's called... The journalism branch is called Extra Crispy.
Extra crispy.
I love it. So, according to their article and the Phoenix New Times article, they both quoted Rick Alan Ross, who is the founder of the Cult Education Institute.
Yeah.
And he firmly believes Ching Hai's organization is a cult. According to My Recipes... Quote,
I look at his stuff pretty much every episode, and most of the ones we've talked about, he
says they're cults.
He has said at least something about,
right,
if not declaring,
right,
including, I believe, last episode with Mary Kay.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I believe he said it's sort of like I have like this goal in my head of having him on the show one day.
Ooh, Rick Alan Ross, get on our show.
Get on it.
Do we follow him on Twitter? We should. So the articles quote him as saying, quote, according to My Recipes, quote, the CEI had received complaints from friends and loved ones of group members who said that they'd become so submersed in its activities that they had begun to neglect their families. One such story appeared in the North Wales Daily Post under the provocative headline, Cult Took My Wife, Now It's Funding a Woodland in North Wales. Describing an elderly man who claimed his wife had left him and their 10-year-old son for the group. The man urged a local trust not to accept a sizable donation from Ching Hai, which he said was given in order to buy credibility. Phoenix New Times shed a little more light on this situation, said they quoted Liverpool's Daily Post. Liverpool's Daily Post quoted the anonymous man as saying that his wife, an academic, would disappear for months whenever the Supreme Master ordered. He claimed months. He claimed she lost a well-paying job because of it and ended up wasting money buying the cult's jewelry at 7,000 to 8,000 pounds per item.
Oh, man. And she would just give it to the cult? Like, here's
buy the
jewelry.
She would buy the jewelry.
Right, that's what I'm saying. She'd buy the jewelry.
Yeah.
So she would wear it, or she would give it to Ching Hai?
She was buying the jewelry from the cult.
Oh, from the cult.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant that she
was buying the jewelry that...
and then giving it to
No, because Ching Hai designs jewelry herself.
I forgot that they also did that.
So she was spending 7,000 to 8,000 pounds per necklace or whatever.
Yeah. Worth?
The same article mentioned that the message board on the Rick Ross Institute website often speaks of cult-like activity coming out of this group. Family members of Ching Hai followers have claimed that, quote, the association brainwashes its members through prolonged meditation, which we know about, and a diet that keeps them weak and compliant. Ooh, interesting.
Oh no.
Hai's followers...
What did we eat?
Hai's followers end up devoting all their time to the cult and force their families into debt spending money on Hai merchandise. Now, there's a bit of a myth that a vegan diet is going to make you weakly.
Right, I know that's super not true, yeah.
There are vegan bodybuilders out there. There's plenty of vegans walking around that get all their nutrition. So I don't know if I buy this, like, these people are being subjugated by their vegan diet. I don't really buy that. Yeah. I do buy the vegan diet being used as kind of like a group building technique.
Ritual, if you will.
Ritual, yeah. I buy that. I don't buy it that they're like all weak on the floor and can't escape.
Right, it's because it's a misconception that vegetarianism won't get you your nutrients.
Except for B12. Vegans, get your B12. You can't get it from your food. You have to take a supplement. Yeah.
That you can only get B12 from meat.
I think it's B12. I'll double check, but I'm not. Remember how I have those? Remember when I was like vegan for 6 months, and I had to take those chewable tablets every day?
Oh, it was B12.
I think it was B12. Oh. It might be a different B. I'll correct myself later if I'm wrong. But there's a specific B vitamin that is only from animal products, so you have to take a supplement.
Son of a gun.
Other accusations included that Ching Hai followers are encouraged to purchase her books on Amazon so that they rise up to the #1 spots on the site.
Not because like, hey, you should read my book, but just so.
Well, I think it's probably
SEO. That's some like really convoluted SEO.
It's probably sold to the followers as like, buy the books, but really in reality, she's just trying to get it to #1. Because remember, this is an accusation from the family members of the people in the cult.
Okay.
Now, to close up, I want to read you a particularly damning passage from the Phoenix New Times, which might heavily influence how we evaluate this group when we get to the end. Quote, regarding Ching Hai's movement, Rick Alan Ross is not impressed. He contends the association meets the 3 requirements laid down by noted cult researcher Robert J. Lifton for classification as a cult.
Oh, wait, so he only has 3 criteria?
Yeah.
What a chump.
Don't say that.
I mean, what do we have? 5? 6? We have 6, right?
Well, listen to the criteria.
We have 6. We are twice as good as this guy.
Or we're redundant. I don't know. Let's listen to his criteria.
No, that's not how criteria work.
Here's his criteria for classification of a cult. A charismatic authoritarian leader who becomes the object of worship.
Oh, what? We got it.
Coercive persuasion or thought reform.
I think that's basically anti-factuality.
And exploitation of group members by the leader and the ruling coterie.
And that is expected harm. But we have 3 more.
What the hell are our other ones?
Because we are twice as good.
We've got niche.
Is it niche, which is more, that's less, is it a cult or not, and more, is it like accepted and therefore.
Right. What are the other 2?
And then the other 2 are percentage of life consumed.
Percentage of life consumed.
Because we felt that was not necessarily the exact same thing as damage.
Right.
And then our other one is ritual, which I feel like is an important thing that, particularly for this show where we're kind of shooting for the gray area.
Right.
Ritual, I think, helps identify some of those things, like we talked about with Irvine, right? Like one of the main reasons that I felt like Irvine was a good choice for the show was because they have their damn logo everywhere.
Right. Well, our definition of ritual is very expansive. It's very inclusive.
The point is the
we
main
find ritual
thing
everywhere.
That we are trying to say here is that we are much better.
I'm not saying that, and I think that if you would like Rick Alan Ross to come on our website one day, you shouldn't criticize.
Wait, these aren't
people. No, but
his criteria.
These are what he's quoting. So I would just say don't criticize.
Look, I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying that we're way better.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like we're at the peak. Okay, we are the mountaintop, and it's okay if you're not as good as us. That's fine.
Okay, Supreme Master Chris.
Supreme Master. I would make an excellent charismatic leader.
Oh my god. All right. Okay. Going back to the quote from the article. Even if the product of the cult, in this case the meals produced by Loving Huts, are arguably good, Ross said he would never...
Arguably. Ooh.
Ross
shade.
said he would never patronize such an establishment. Quote, I would not go to a business run by a purported cult leader, he said. One that...
Well, so he's not coming on the show anyway now because we went to the restaurant.
He could still talk to us. He's not like, I will never talk to someone who's
he's
involved.
going to be like, oh, I wouldn't have gone there, man.
Let me finish the quote. Ross said, one that exploits or harm members. I would have an ethical problem and feel quite conflicted putting money into the till that ultimately benefits Supreme Master Ching Hai.
So he really feels like she's doing some bad stuff.
I think that he's saying that it doesn't even need to be that, like, people are getting, like, Scientology hidden in, like, pits or, like, Teal Swan suicided to be, like, bad enough that you shouldn't play around with it.
So what did I just eat then? Like that...
You just ate vegan food. You literally just ate vegan food. There's nothing weird in it.
I know there's nothing weird in it, but now I kind of feel like we just did something unethical.
Yeah, potentially.
Great.
But I also was really good and I want to eat there again.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to eat there again. I think it was fine.
Frankly, if we would go back to Best Friends... If we would go back to Best Friends Animal Society...
Yeah, but they're done with all that, I think.
We don't know for sure. And they definitely had to obfuscate it. Also, we, like, do unethical shit all the time. There's no ethical consumerism under capitalism.
Oh, boy. Right.
You have a phone that was probably made by underpaid workers in shitty
Rick
conditions.
Ross, do you have a phone?
Yeah, if he has a phone, he's a hypocrite.
We need to stop shitting on this guy.
I'm not. You started
because
it.
I use his information a lot.
He has
and I would love to have him on the show.
And I definitely agree with him. I'm just saying that, like, you can't live a perfectly ethical life. I'm already the person who's like, I'm a vegetarian because I feel bad about killing the animals.
Right.
I want to eat at Living Hut sometimes, guys.
Right.
I can definitely convince myself that it's okay.
Some pig.
Yeah, I don't want to eat Wilbur. Remember how she dies at the end? It's really upsetting. Also, do you remember how she was hot?
What?
Oh my god, Charlotte the Spider was definitely hot.
What are you talking about, you weirdo?
She was hot. She was a hot spider.
No, she was always illustrated as a spider.
No, I'm talking about the movie.
Who watched the movie?
I watched the movie a lot.
Are we going to keep this whole thing about a hot spider?
No, but I'm definitely going to show you a hot spider. She was hot. She was Debbie Reynolds. Hot spider.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you, she was a hot spider.
Yeah, that is hot.
Yeah. Anyway, Ross said he regards Loving Hut restaurants as recruitment tools for Ching Hai, whom he views as a nefarious figure. So we may want to rethink going there again. Or if we do, we dine and dash. We do not support dine and dashing. That was a joke.
Great. So we have to either dine and dash or support a cult. Great.
But also remember that it's a franchise situation. You're helping a small business, local family business. I don't know.
Sure.
The food was really good. Okay, before we totally finish with this, I just want to mention that, again, I'm leaving out a bunch of stuff because there's so much here. I'm going to link to a particular article that I couldn't really get to in this when we post the episode. It's an LA Weekly article written by Nancy Rummelman in 2002, in which she was actually able to spend a day with some very high-up members of the Ching Hai organization, and things got weird.
Oh, I'm definitely reading that.
Yeah, it's an incredible article. You should check it out. I wish there was more room to fit it all in, but we have to draw the line somewhere. Definitely check this article out. It's amazing. All right, so now that we've talked about Supreme Master Ching Hai, her background, her spiritual journey, her teachings, her business ventures, and have even eaten at one of her restaurants, do we feel ready to answer the question of this podcast? Is Loving Hut a cult, or is it just weird?
For all you ASMR fans, here comes your favorite part.
I got a bunch of emails telling us to stop doing that.
I know that you didn't because I share your email account. Here are the criteria. Let's go through them, shall we?
Do it.
Okay. So I'm going to pick them in a random order this time. I don't know why. I just am.
That's good.
Let's start with percentage of life consumed.
If you own a franchise, all of it, your whole life.
Yeah, but then that's also your business. So, that's your source of income too. But it did sound like that one lady was gone for months at a time. Yeah.
Also, if you follow this 2.5 hours of meditation a day or up to 5 hours.
That's a lot.
Or people who go work on her news channel and they just go do it.
Fuck off and spend their own money and yeah. So I'm gonna say high.
I'm
not like
also
the
gonna
most
say
we've
high.
ever seen.
Right.
Like I would say it's less than like Teal, where you're going to her compound.
Right.
But it can be high for sure.
Right.
All right, let's move on to anti-factuality.
Okay.
A
Crop circles.
little.
Breatharianism.
Oh, sorry. Right, there was a lot. I was thinking just about the more of the because there's multiple bits to this, right?
Right.
There's the purely we're shooting out just fake stuff, right? And
Right.
that's like the crop circles and 4 Venuses, and okay, clearly that's not factual. But then there's also the hiding things. Are they hiding things a little bit? Maybe like where their income comes from,
Right.
or
Right.
you know how much she is actually like, oh no, don't follow me, but do
Right.
follow me.
But then, like, the actual spiritual practice of, like, meditating and compassion,
Yeah.
like, meditation is good for you, and, like, meditation is it's prayer. It's, like, that's a part of many spiritual journeys. There's not really a lot of anti-factuality there. Like, it's good for your health.
What about the closed logical system where we talk about, like, motivated reasoning, and the more that something proves it, disproves it?
I don't really think that's there.
Okay, yeah.
Especially not, like, in the restaurants. Like, the restaurants, if you remember, the restaurants weren't very, like, they weren't proselytizy. They weren't, like...
But the TV...
The TV was, but remember the TV was on super low, and like that's noted that the TV is almost always kept very low. It's like it's there if you want it, but it's not being. You don't have to kind of like deal with it if you want to get a meal there. Like it's there if you want it. If you want to ask for some literature, it's there. If you want to talk about it, it's there. If you want to watch the TV, it's there. But you can also just go and enjoy your meal and not feel like you're going to be pressured into joining a cult.
So I'd almost say that there's like, so they have some bad facts, like 4 Venuses, but I almost feel like that falls a little short of anti-factuality, where it's just because you have bad facts doesn't necessarily mean you are anti-fact.
Right, right.
Is that a real
right?
thing
We don't know
said?
that she's
like if
saying
somebody,
fake things to manipulate people,
right?
In the way that we're fairly certain that like Jay-Z Knight is saying fake things to manipulate people,
right?
Are we gonna get sued for saying that?
I don't care.
Jay-Z Knight's saying fake things to manipulate people.
Yeah, that is what's happening. Okay, ritual. I mean, for sure here. I'm definitely thinking there's some ritual.
There's 2.5 hours meditation
we just
a day.
participated in one of the
Eating
rituals.
vegan food, yeah. Restaurants.
Eating is, even if it wasn't vegan, I think just the act of eating is a very ritualistic thing. We all do it.
Right.
But they're associating it with this group, with this organization, with them.
Right. Well, if you'll remember, we started this episode talking about other restaurants started by other cults.
Right.
Like, it seems to... Groups continue to come back to that,
Yeah,
and it's
man,
not just coincidental. Like, there's
weird.
a reason
yeah,
for it.
Right, exactly.
I mean, Catholics eat a little snack at Mass, right?
Yeah, it's Jesus, the Jesus snack.
A snack.
Yeah, it's a little snack. It's a little cracker. But yeah, so and I think that it also has other elements as well, like you said, with the meditation and things like that. So high ritual. Population / niche. Is it niche? This is weird. This is, I would say the population is high, but I'm not sure that it's mainstream.
I don't know, man. There's
never heard of it.
140 restaurants, though. All across the
But
world.
are we talking about Loving Hut, or are we talking about Supreme Master Ching Hai's? I guess it's all part of the same thing.
Same thing.
It's the fastest growing vegan restaurant.
It's kind of like there's churches everywhere, but you don't necessarily know like who your bishop is or whatever.
Boy, this one feels like it's right down the middle, maybe.
It's kind of like
semi-niche.
Right.
It's like niche, but there's still a lot. Or it's, I don't know. 50%.
50-50, yeah.
Okay. Expected harm. This one I'm going to give like a 30% maybe.
Okay.
Just because up until you told me some of the things that...
all alleged.
Some of the alleged things about followers, leaving their families and that sort of thing.
Drinking dirty bathwater.
Right. And the things that Mr. Alan Ross said.
Rick Alan Ross.
Mr. Ross said. Those sound harmful, but they're all sort of alleged, and I don't know, they're also like, yay, peace, and we're gonna, help flood victims, and
it seems like a beneficial group in a lot of ways.
It's yeah.
Nice.
So that's why I think it does get a little bit there.
And especially because it like allows you to kind of retain other aspects of your life. Like, I know we've talked about other cults and groups do that, where they're like, yeah, whatever faith of yours is fine. But, like, I don't think Teal's necessarily welcoming a bunch of people to, like, be Christians necessarily, or, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not necessarily a part of it, whereas this is, like, all the faiths are good, and we're all just friends. We all believe the same thing.
I'd be curious. I kind of want to look that up. I feel like Teal might say the same thing because she just wants followers.
She is going to say it in a way, to me, that feels very different to this. Teal, with her whole, like, I'm a no bullshitter kind of attitude, she can be kind of condescending and almost insulting.
Yeah.
And I don't really get that from what I've learned about Supreme Master Ching Hai. Also, we should note the fact that she calls herself Supreme Master Ching Hai. I don't know if we've said that. That's culty.
Well, when we talk about charismatic leader, which is the next criteria.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
So certainly she's like the most arrogant charismatic leader I think we've run across.
More arrogant than Teal?
Actually, I don't know. I think all of these yeah, you're right. All of these charismatic leaders have a heavy dose of that. And Ching Hai seems to be no exception.
Yeah.
Yeah. You showed me pictures. Her appearance is very charismatic.
Yeah.
She has people flying out to her, paying their own money to get there and be on her TV channel.
And, like, if her stories are believed to be true, like, people have been trying to follow her for her entire life. Like, people are drawn to her. So the charisma is present. Yeah. Also, I don't know where this fits in, but, like, I came across the phrase multiple times, gospel of veganism. And, like, how even though we're going to these restaurants and we're not, like, getting proselytized at, just the act of kind of, like, spreading veganism throughout the world, it's almost kind of, like, missionary style. Yeah. I just wanted to bring that up before we finished going through our criteria.
Vegan Jesuits.
Gospel of veganism.
Yeah. Maybe we should add something. Thing. Maybe we should add a criteria about proselytizing.
But I know, because we talked about that before. We talked about that before we came up with the criteria.
Uh-oh. Are we missing one?
No, we talked about why it wouldn't be a good criteria.
Oh.
Because, like, Best Friends Animal Society, their cult was not proselytizing at
right,
all.
I think we discussed it in the thing we decided on not to include that is because
some groups are very closed.
Cult feels more like it's a closed thing than an open thing.
Right. Some of them are very much like, we'll take whatever, like a Mary Kay or something like that. Mm-hmm. But some of them are very like, we're our group, fuck you.
Right, yeah. Okay, so that's all 6. So expected harm. Now, this is not the same order that I listed them in, so I'm just being a terrible host right now. But anyway, expected harm, we said like 30-ish% population / niche. We said is right down the middle, 50-50. Anti-factuality, a little bit. Percentage of lice consumed can kind of depend, but can be quite a bit. Right. Depending on if you're just meditating or if you own a restaurant or if you're, leaving your family for months at a time. Rituals high and charismatic leaders high.
It's a cult. I'm sorry.
I don't know. A few of those were pretty low.
Rick Allen Ross says it's a cult.
Oh, is that just we have one criteria?
I'm just saying the guy who runs a cult university or whatever
Listen, man.
says it's a cult. I'm saying it's a cult. It's a cult.
This is our show. We get to say what we want on it.
I'm saying it's a cult. What are you saying?
Based on
my gut feeling.
So you're just going to throw away the criteria and it's just based on your gut?
I think that the criteria, for me, are sufficient to call it a cult.
I mean, it hits on all 6. It doesn't necessarily score highly on all 6.
It's a cult for me. It's got the charismatic leader in spades. It's definitely more of a beneficial cult.
So I was talking about this, actually. I don't know if we've mentioned it on the show yet, but I was talking about this with one of our listeners about how we should apply the criteria. And up to this point, we've been sort of using sort of like a percentage, and if they all sort of hit a little bit, or if maybe 5 out of 6 of them hit, then it's a cult. But he had an interesting take. He feels like to be able to fully call something a cult, it should solidly land all 6. And if even one doesn't hit, then it's just weird.
I disagree. I think I disagree with that. I think that will end up being more limiting than is good.
So you would like to call more things cults?
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Well, last week you were all like, I don't want to call it a cult. I want to call it a cult.
I'm so scared.
but now you're not. This lady has like this global network of vegan army.
I'm more scared of Mary Kay than I am of Ching Hai. And also, their largest estimate is 2 million members. Mary Kay's got 3.5 million sellers.
Right, and they could mobilize
Worldwide.
And march on us. Yeah, that's true.
If I had to pick between 2 million people wanting to be mad at me and 3.5 million, I'm going to pick 2.
So I got to be honest. I'm not sure how I feel about whether the criteria should be ands or ors, whether they should be you have to have all of them, or whether they should be preponderance of evidence. I really haven't decided on that yet. So what we've been doing on the show is preponderance of evidence, so let's keep doing it that way. And in that rubric, I guess it is indeed a cult, because it hits more of these than it doesn't, and even the ones that it doesn't, it hits a little bit.
Boom. Can we go eat there again, though? It's delicious.
I don't know. Oh, God.
What if we got somebody else to buy it for us?
No, we would have to dine and dash, as you say.
I don't want to do that to some... It's not hurting her.
I know, they were very nice to us,
It's
too.
not hurting her. It's going to be hurting the franchise owners.
Oh, man. I think we can probably eat there again, ethically.
Honestly, we would probably eat at way less ethical places.
That's true. I would probably today.
Yeah. Like, frankly, there's a lot of issues with the restaurant industry. So
right.
If we're going to eat at restaurants at all...
I guess it's fine. So, yeah, I would definitely eat there again by that measure.
Maybe we should find an organization that we can, like, donate to offset when we eat there.
But like you said, then we would have to donate every time we put food in our mouth from a restaurant.
Yeah, but, like, at least this we have done, like, a podcast episode about, and I feel a lot worse about eating there than, like, McDonald's.
Well, let's put it up to our listeners. Listeners, should we or should we not eat at Loving Hut again? What say you?
Please tell us.
Hit us up on Twitter at culturejustweird. Hit us up on our Instagram or Facebook, or just email us at culturejustweird@gmail.com.
I need to know, because I want to eat that jackfruit salad again.
Yeah, and I want to have that fake Mongolian beef dish.
God, it's delicious.
It was super delicious. And like, honestly, if I'm ever going to eat less meat the way I would like to help support climate change and that sort of thing.
To help
support, yes, I would. Well, I said change. It could be changing for the better.
True.
Anyway, then I don't know how I would be able to do that without going to Loving Hut, because it was so good. It was very close to meat.
I've eaten at a lot of vegan restaurants. I love vegan restaurants, and this was definitely a top experience for me.
Yeah, it was extremely close to real meat.
All right.
So I think that's a great way to end the podcast, is by talking about close to real meat.
Close to real meat.
Culture Just Weird. Close to real meat.
Well, then I'm Kayla.
And I'm Chris.
And this has been Cult.
Or Just Meat.
We're ending it.